The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 187.
Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of real women producing extraordinary results by finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Get your free audiobook at our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap-Chan, and today I have a special lady on who's all the way from San Francisco. She has many tricks up her sleeve. She's an entrepreneur, and she's here to share her story about self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Quynh Nguyen. Quynh, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I am Quynh. And a little bit about myself. I'm 49, turning 50, but I feel absolutely awesome and have never felt so beautiful and really grounded in my femininity. I think that has come with learning more about myself and just really trying things out that I felt would expand me. I actually live south of San Francisco in a really cute beach town called Pacifica. And I live in a 2-bedroom cottage by the sea with my daughter and some chickens. I guess I have a lot of interests, but we can kind of continue with the interview and, I'll see what's the right thing to reveal.
Sounds good. And, I've seen your pictures on Facebook, and there's no way you're turning 50 this year.
I know. I have really good genes, and I'm so much better now that I'm happier. Like, I'm just such a happier person in the last 2 or 3 years. I made a lot of strong life changes to become more authentic in who I am. I got a divorce. I changed career. I started dancing burlesque. I started writing a book. And I think all these things that I'm doing are more authentic. So I feel better. And I think I look better when I feel better, So yeah, thank you.
No problem. And Quynh, what's your cultural background?
So I'm originally from Vietnam. And I moved and immigrated to the United States when I was 9 years old in 1975.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
Well, my favorite self-confidence quote is again, what I feel is authentically me. It's like a Nin's quote about I must be a mermaid because I have no fear of depths and I can't live in the shallow or something like that. And it's just me. I think to be self-confident for me means to be deep because everything else I've ever tried has not worked. And getting deep into myself with knowing myself and also getting into deep, authentic relationships with others have just made me so much more confident and so much happier.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I believe, when it's about self-confidence and learning about yourself, you have to go in deep. And when I mean deep, like, doing all the inner work, because nothing will attract you if you're not working on yourself first and going into like the deep roots, why certain things happen or why you think, a certain way. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that. And, in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
I feel like self-confidence begins with self-knowledge. And so when you know yourself very deeply, you understand your strengths and your weaknesses. And then you understand more that your weaknesses are actually what leads you to become stronger because you really needed them to kind of point you to the areas where you need to know yourself more and to love yourself more. And so self-confidence has to do with this total love of your strengths, but then this total love and compassion towards your weaknesses, which is more difficult, but just as important as knowing where you're strong. So I feel like it's love, but it's love in a way that includes permission and awareness of things that, normally you would want to hide, And so the more loving you are to these aspects of yourself that are hard to love, the less you hide, the less you can reveal your vulnerability. And actually that translates into self-confidence. That's real self-confidence versus self-confidence that's sort of like an act where you're pretending that you always have it together.
I totally agree with you. I think people forget that your weaknesses and your flaws is part of you and you have to accept it and love it for what it is. Because like you said, it does take you to the path that you never thought would be possible, right? So I'm glad you brought that up. And Quynh, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I was more of a people pleaser. I looked at all the boxes that were out there in the world, like, oh, as a woman, I should have a job and I should live in a certain way and I should have a certain kind of relationship. And I really tried very hard to fit myself into these boxes. But who I am is actually a lot different. I'm very expansive. And it's not that I don't live in a neighborhood or I don't have a job. It's just that I was never one thing. So I try to be one thing. I try to be technical, and then I try to be artistic and beautiful. And, I'm all those things, but then every time before I sort of like ground it into myself, I would try to be these little snippets of me. So I'm a snippet if I'm in, like the work world. I can't really be as feminine, or I can't be too techie and too tomboy when I'm hanging out with a whole bunch of moms because they won't accept me. So there was a lot of what I would call splitting of the self and also like trying to fit in. And that got really exhausting. That took up a lot of energy. And that's something that I've been working on changing the last few years.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think that's something we all go through, especially as Asian women, because we've been programmed to just always please the other person, regardless, if you're not happy, regardless if you're not yourself. And, not that it's the wrong thing, but it's something that, that's not our authentic self, right? We tend to start, losing our authentic self. It actually hurts us from making our own decisions because we're so dependent of other people, making decisions for us. So, what was that point in your life when you realized that, you can be your own person. You didn't have to always be people pleasing. You can go out there and be who you are and not be a snippet of yourself.
I feel it actually came on gradually. I think it came on a little bit around, like 36 when it came to my job. And I just sort of embraced that I'm this Renaissance woman and I'm not just technical or creative, I'm both. And then it came on again at 42 when I decided to become a mother so late in life. And I realized, I actually don't have to follow a formula of motherhood because I'm actually old enough now to know who I am as a mother. And then it came on again, at 47 when I had to make a decision to leave a very secure relationship because I didn't feel like I was really full in myself. And just to take responsibility for that, I think it sort of came on in little spurts. And then it's been slowly integrating all these years, like these little parts. And then it was also like the decision that I'm a writer and I'm an artist and I don't have to like settle for one form of art. I can just express and I don't need anybody to like it. So it's like little pieces all these years came together. And I like what you said about the Asian culture because I was brought up to succeed in a very particular way, and it was like a very set formula. It had to do with money and how I lived and how I looked. And it really was restrictive, it was really just one way and it didn't really appeal to me inside. So therefore I was sort of like, I don't know, lukewarm, even though that was the standard. But now I just go for what I want. And it's been just slowly integrating like over the last 10 years probably.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I like what you mentioned that, you realized you didn't have to follow a certain formula. You just, whatever you felt in your heart, you just went for it regardless of the outcome. Because it's like, our whole lives, we've been told to follow one formula. And if we go out of that formula, it's like, that's not how you should live life, right? But really, we all have our own journey. We live life according to how we feel and what it looks for us. And that's what true happiness is. And being able to be ourselves, just learning that there's no certain formula out there. There's different perceptions of living life to the fullest. So, after these little spurts of aha moments, what's your life been like now?
I wake up every day and I just let myself move towards what I desire. It's not that I don't have things to do because I've got to pick up the kid and I'm doing a few projects. So I have to get things done for people and I have deadlines and, all the things I'm doing. But I really wake up and I'm like, well, authentically, where am I headed today and where is my heart? And I move towards what's in my heart more than what my mind thinks I should do. And then naturally, actually, I move towards doing the things I need to do. It's not like I don't want to accomplish things. So I'm still sort of like, quote unquote, achieving, which is a very deep part of my Asian upbringing. But it's not really motivated by the mind right now. It's motivated by what I love. Moving towards things that inspires me and that I love gives me more energy. Like taking that time to go to the ocean, even though supposedly I have 5 things to do today, because that's what my heart and soul yearns to do, give me energy, to do the other things. You know what I mean? Like instead of going, oh, I've got to trudge through this and worrying, I'm just being.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, we all are, I know I'm guilty of that too. Sometimes like I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I got to do this, that, and that. And, usually in the mornings, I love to work out. It's just something that's really therapeutic for me. And I just do it regardless of what I have to do. And like after that, like you said, I'm just I'm more free, I'm more calm, I'm not as worried as much. To the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey of self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
Cultivate a sense of self-trust by acting and taking responsibility for your own wellness. Because the more you take responsibility for your own wellness, which means getting the rest you need, doing the things you love, taking care of yourself, versus putting responsibility on other people or waiting for other people to approve, the more you'll grow a sense of love and trust for yourself, and the more you'll be led in a direction towards self-confidence. It's a muscle that you have to build.
I love it. That's a great tip. And Quynh, if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
I've got a couple projects going. One is a book project I'm doing called the Immigrant Mosaic, and that's on Facebook. It's a community, and it's about a book that I'm in the process of finishing about my journey as an immigrant and 7 other people from all over the world. And then I actually have a blog. I write a lot about my journey, especially things about, having been in a war and how that's affected me. And then I write a lot about just my general philosophies. Okay, it's quintessence.wordpress.com. And Quintessence is QUYNHTESSENCE.wordpress.com. So that's a place where people can kind of like touch base with me and learn a little bit more about my journey and what I've been through. But I don't see myself just as an Asian woman. I see myself as a soul that's having a journey in an Asian woman's body. So there's a lot of that too, where I'm just writing from a more universal perspective. And then I pull into my personal experience because, of course, our personal experience makes up who we are today.
Totally. And thanks for sharing all that info. And to our listeners, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Quynh's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I really just want to thank Quynh for taking the time to share her journey with us. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's been really great talking to you.
Same here. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us at the Tao of Self-Confidence. Head over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com for full recaps of every show, our amazing blog articles and resources, and just plain fun. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits, so start today.